It's 6 minutes past 11 Central Africa time. It's the third hour of On the Move this Thursday morning. Is it Thursday already? I can't believe the week is moving so quickly. You're with me, Palesa Tau and Benjamin Moshatama. The past 2 hours have been great. We've been having good conversations indeed right here on the show. And so we spoke a little bit about in our Becoming feature about having a personal board of directors. And then in our first hour, we discussed playing as adults. Yeah, going back to playing once again as adults. I'm sure that's going to be pretty fun. But if you've missed those conversations, I don't know where you've been. But it's okay because you are with us now and there's still another hour of conversation ahead of us. Go to our website. That's www.channelafrica.co.za. Don't just stream the conversations from that platform, but navigate it. There's lots to see and lots to do right there. But you can also find our podcast by clicking on the program tab on our homepage, navigating your way through the various shows we have here on Channel Africa. But click on this show, that's the one you're looking for. This is On the Move, and under our show's details, that is where you can find our podcast. It's time for our parenting and family corner here, where we take a look at the parenting and family landscape on the continent. And around this time of the year, we have children in schools writing exams. It's mid-year, almost time for mid-year exams, and it's a very stressful time for the young ones. But more than anything, I think what makes it even more stressful is that we've implemented this one way of learning, this one way of teaching, and this one way of studying and absorbing information. But unfortunately, we are all different. Our children are different. They are individuals and they learn in different ways. So we're going to be speaking of something called the Neuro Agility Profile. And this is an assessment that offers a way for young people to understand how their own brain works as individuals, how they learn, and where their natural talents are, and of course, how they can manage the stress and, the stress that they going through, especially during this time of the year. We'll be chatting once again to the certified Neuro Agility Profile practitioner and life coach, Rushka Lee, in this hour of the show.
Yeah, looking forward to that parenting feature that's coming up just in a few minutes' time. Hey, man, we don't want to move alone. We always love moving with you. So follow us on our multiple platforms on social media. At Channel Africa 1 is the magic hashtag. It's the magic handle as well. So all you have to do is use that handle to follow us on X. That's how you follow us on TikTok. That's how you follow us on Instagram and also YouTube. So don't be behind. Don't miss out on what's happening every hour here on Channel Africa. From Monday to Sunday, we make sure that we give you the best entertainment, information, and also news here on the African continent. So follow us on those platforms at Channel Africa 1 being the key handle on those platforms. And on Facebook, we are on Channel Africa. Hey, let's make the circle bigger. Let's make it bigger than bigger, and follow us and become part of the Channel Africa family.
África. Conhece um Tivani?
Claro que sou eu.
O Tivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Okay. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar um Tivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge. Hashtag On The Move and connect with us.
It's that time of the year where millions of young people face the pressure of mid-year exams. They are extremely stressful. I think I still remember back in my day with the mid-year exams, and last year when my son was in his final year of high school and he had to write these exams. It's such a stressful time, and the focus is often on the textbooks themselves, the study schedules, etc. But what about their minds? What about how they're wired as individuals and the stress they carry, as well as the uncertainty that has to do with, what happens after the exams? What am I going to get? How are things going to look like for me? Unfortunately, we do live in a society where, schooling is done in a very linear way. All the kids go to school. The kids are so different. They're all individuals, but they're in one classroom being taught in the same way, and I guess being forced to learn in the same way as well, and being forced to absorb information in exactly the same way. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for the majority of young people. Now we're speaking about something called Neuro Agility Profile, and this assessment offers a way for young people to understand how their brain works best, how they learn, and where their natural talents lie, but also how to manage stress in a way that actually fits them as an individual. We're learning a little bit more about this Neuro Agility Profile, and joining us is certified Neuro Agility Profile practitioner and life coach Rushka Lee. It's always a pleasure to have you, Rushka. It is quite sad that we have to have, all these kids who are individuals in their own right do things in the exact same way.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Always a treat being here. But yes, that's unfortunately what's happened of late. Compared to when we were younger, it's sort of the same thing where children are just taught one way, and people and educators and the system doesn't understand that children have their different individualized learning and thinking languages. So just to create that awareness about a child's neurodesign is so important in education today. So important.
Can you give us examples of these different ways of teaching and learning? I mean, many parents will be listening to this, hearing about Neuro Agility Profile for the first time and think, well, what nonsense. We've been going to school for the longest time. We were taught in classrooms with 30 of us, and, the majority of us were passing. We're fine. We shouldn't be changing anything.
100%. So there's three different ways that somebody can learn. It's either visually, it's auditory, or it's kinesthetic. So what happened in the past was that with kinesthetic learners, they were misdiagnosed with being ADHD and
what does that mean? What is a kinesthetic learner? What does that mean?
It's physical learning. They can't learn by sitting still. They have to do the stuff. They have to get their hands dirty. They have to write something down in order for their brains to actually process it. So it can be a mixture of audio visual. There's those kids. I mean, surely when you remember, there's those children who can just sit in class and pay attention and learn just by listening. Then there's those who need to process it by writing it down. And then back in the day, the teachers say, put the pencils down and listen to me.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then the child is not retaining anything because they are kinesthetic learner. So it all depends on the individual neurodesign of how this child learns, what their learning language actually is.
Usually, Rushka, as parents, we only start to recognize that we need to do something. We're quite reactive, aren't we? Only when a child is not doing quite well in the classroom, when the teacher calls you in to say, well, your child is not keeping up with what's going on in the classroom. We don't really know what's going on here. That's only when we're trying to look for answers and we're scrambling and maybe we take the child to a psychologist or we just give them a personal tutor. But maybe we should stop being more reactive and more proactive when it comes to understanding how our children learn.
100%. I wish I had something like this as a NAP assessment, Neuro Agility Profile assessment. It doesn't test how smart you are, rather it assesses how you are smart. because we are all smart in our own way, right? There's that whole saying about teaching a fish how to climb a tree, that kind of a thing. So we are all smart in our own way. And with this Neuro Agility Profile assessment, the NAP assessment, it actually assesses how you are smart, and it matches who you are with what you do. And it gives the children of today that opportunity to go into career paths, to study things that their brain actually likes and actually vibes with. It's so interesting, honestly.
It does sound quite interesting. Let's go into that. Give us a little bit more detail about this Neuro Agility Profile. What is Neuro Agility to begin with, and how this assessment takes place?
Yes, so neuroagility is your brain's fitness level. So it is not a personality test, and it is certainly not an aptitude test. I hate those aptitude tests. Every adult today knows what an aptitude test is.
Yeah.
And what happens is that the very smart people tend to don't do well in the aptitude test. That's purely based on their risk of human error under stress, highly stressful situations.
Yeah.
So, when there's a car accident or there's some sort of incident that's happened and people come ask, what happened? And the person says, I don't know. That is literally because their brain shut down. Their risk of human error under extreme stressful situations can have a huge impact on that. So what neuroagility is just kind of looking at your unique brain's design and matching it with your fitness level, and keeping your brain young and agile, and doing all the brain exercises, because as we get older as women, in particular, we always look after the skin and we try and avoid the wrinkles, don't go in the sun. But this actually gives you the tools to keep your brain younger for longer.
Well, this is quite interesting indeed, to really understand the makeup of your brain, what the map in your brain looks like individually.
Yes.
But how would, in fact, when would be the right time, when would be the right time to give your child this Neuro Agility Profile assessment to assure that they have, a successful schooling career?
Okay, so there's two NAP assessments. There's the one for adults, and then there's it's called the toolbox for kids ages between 10 and 18. Okay. So any time between those ages is ideal for extracurricular subject selection, or just understanding why maybe your child is not doing well. And it also has a lot to do with being neurodivergent, ADHD. It is literally a crystal ball into your child's brain to see what it is that their brain loves. Because we all know those people whose parents forced them to go to law school, forced them to go to medical school, and then they ended up being a drummer in a band and absolutely loving it. No offense to drummers, but that's exactly what it is. So it's matching your child's brain with what they are meant to do and what they are meant to excel in. So anywhere between 10 and 18, that also gives us a good indication of the tertiary route, so you don't waste your money or years and years and years. So it is quite important, and that's from a kid's perspective. From an adult's perspective, it can be at any time, and I usually do it when there's somebody who's looking to change careers, or there's been a big life adjustment, so divorce, and just finding out who you want to be and who you actually are at the end of the day. So at any stage.
This is incredibly fascinating, Rushka. We definitely want to hear more of it. Let's take a break and we'll come back, find out a little bit more about the Neuro Agility Profile assessment and how it can help you, look forward in your life and take the decisions on your career, on your life that are necessary for your kind of thinking or your kind of brain profile. It's 20 minutes past 11 Central Africa time. We'll continue chatting to Rushka Lee after this.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le diamant rouge et Binal Sport depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. Benjamin Mushatama and Palisatawo on the move.
Hey, it's time for our parenting and family corner, figuring out where your child sits when it comes to, their intelligence at school, they're willing to actually learn, but also how to be great problem solvers is not very easy. There's an interesting way to actually assess this through what is called Neuro Agility Profile, which is an assessment that offers a powerful way for young people to understand how their brain works best, how they can learn even better, and how to be natural towards their talents. Well, Rushka is back on our show. That's Rushka Lee, who's a certified Neuro Agility Profile practitioner and life coach. Rushka, let's speak a little bit about this one because I relate with it because, intelligence is always seen in one prism. You're given a question and then you need to answer it. The thing about that is that there are many ways to answer one question, right?
Yes.
I've noticed there's just like when you were in primary school or even in high school, I would compare even my answers with my colleagues. I just said the same thing, but I said it differently to you. But then someone else kind of didn't use that creative energy to respond to that answer, but rather went with what the textbook is actually saying. So let's talk a little bit about this Neuro Agility Profile. Once you've made this assessment, how do you now practically lean on what you've learned from the assessment? Because that's the tricky part, because the education system probably wouldn't lean into saying, hey, I actually went for this profile and this is what they say to me, and my mommy says that I learned better by just playing.
No, absolutely. So growing up, we were taught to parrot, whatever the teacher says, whatever is in the textbook, that is the way we are supposed to articulate it. That is the way we're supposed to be examined on it. And that is the way we're supposed to learn what it was. So in this day and age, in terms of doing the NAP assessment is actually making a new way of answering, a creative way. So there's two hemispheres in the brain, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. If you're left hemisphere dominant, that's more analytical, it's more to do with numbers and spreadsheets and all that. You thrive off of that. But in terms of being right-brained, that's more creative, and you learn and you see and you speak in colors and pictures and imagery. And that is what, unfortunately, the schooling system, and I'm not just talking about in Africa, I'm talking the world, is so behind, because it's just in terms of this is the way, it's linear. This is the way you need to learn, and being out of the box and thinking out of the box is not okay. So that is where the confidence levels in children get challenged and so forth, and that eventually impacts them and their confidence and their upbringing and their growing up. So yeah.
So how do you actualize this? I mean, what would your advice be to parents who've come for this kind of assessment to you in terms of practically making certain adjustments that are appropriate for their children?
Yes, so you know the term the village, right? So it's the parents at home or the whoever's raising the kids at home, whoever has influence on the kids at home, but it also is the education system. So in terms of having a complete 100%, well, at least 99% success rate for this particular child, we need the village to be on board. So if they do the assessment, then you can do certain adjustments at home, especially for homeschool learners, to learn how to humanize the environment and so forth for learning. But it's also up to the school. It's also up to the education system and the learning environment at the school. So this goes for schools, this goes for offices as well. How we humanize it, what colors we need to bring in to change the mood. It's a whole process, but when we are open and we have this discussion with the learning institution or the teachers or whatever, and we educate them on the different learning aspects and the different learning languages and thinking languages, then everything will change. There's a classroom of like 30, 40 children at a time. There are probably like a majority of them are kinesthetic learners, children that can't sit still. So that in terms of the educator, they need to know and they need to understand how the three different levels need to be taught in school in order for all the students to excel at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And also the materials or the tools of learning, what kind of adaptations would be needed there?
So it all depends on what they're learning. So, for example, in a math. Okay, let me just use math as a lesson.
That's
here.
a great example because many kids struggle with that. Sure.
Yes, me being one of them.
You're not alone. Seconded.
So I'm completely right hemisphere brain. So in terms of how the brain loves to learn, it learns in colors and it learns in shapes. Okay, it's not linear. So when you're learning about math, do the different patterns in different colors. Do the different the equations in different colors. Don't make it just one color. Don't make it all in one line. Be creative. That is how the mind is engaged with the chalkboard and using different colors and using different tangible blocks and all of those things. It's just introducing something new to the classroom in terms of different books, but different sort of tools in terms of the shapes and so forth, and using out of the box thinking. So instead of doing math about numbers and all of that, do math about the population and involve geography. Do math about food and involve health sciences. So it's all about being creative, because that is how the mind grows. It's a process called neuroplasticity. So that may be very new to some people, but neuroplasticity is when you are creating new neural pathways in the brain. So that is how we learn, by repeating one thing over and over, about 3, 4, 5 times. That is a new neural pathway that has been created in your mind. And how that happens is up to the educator, the education system, and essentially the village at the end of the day.
Yeah, just a final question. We've got a minute left. I'm sure you feel like an outsider sometimes when you're dealing with this education system, because it feels like it's so behind. What do you think we need to do to actually adapt as we wrap things up?
All right. Well, it's just having those educators to be open-minded about the different types and the different methods and the different possibilities that a child's mind can expand for them to create bigger and better things for the future. So it's just about being open-minded. That's it.
Rushka, where can people find you?
They can find me at my website, www.devolleaf.com. That's DEVOLLEEV.com. devolleaf.com.
Thank you so much, Rushka. It's always a pleasure speaking to you, because it feels like you are living in the future, and always you bring us with you into that particular future. And I think we're a little bit behind, but thank you for grabbing our hands and taking us where we need to be.
Always a pleasure.
That's Rushka Lee, certified Neuro Agility Profile practitioner and life coach, speaking about the benefits of Neuro Agility Profile assessments for young children.